wasn't there then, but back in the 60s, we talked a lot about the church being relevant. There have been many, many changes in the world since then. Did the church become relevant? What would make the church relevant in 2013? Or is this even an issue? What?
That's good.
That's a good question, yeah. I don't know if the church became relevant. Maybe you all can comment on that. But I guess I would say I don't think it... To the last question, is this even an issue? I'm not sure the role of the church is to be relevant. I think the role of the church, in fact, is to be countercultural, is to model a way, sort of as we talked about before, to actually live the words, to actually practice it, to walk the path. And in doing that, I think God will reveal to people what it is that we need to know and how it is we're supposed to live. But I don't know that we need to take on becoming relevant. I think we need to take on figuring out how to connect with people where they are, figuring out how to talk to them and hear them. But fundamentally, you know, I guess for me, the role of the church is to create a space where we practice walking in the way of Jesus, which I don't think has a whole lot to do with being relevant in that sense, outside of engaging the social issues and the questions of our time.
Or going where people are.
Or going where people are, right.
One way of thinking about it, just that the church is not an inside that we hope to attract people to, but we need to begin to just do what we're doing here tonight, actually, even though we've gathered the church here in a pub. But doing it in a pub actually is symbolic of a paradigm shift.
Right. I think it's a practice of saying, the way in which we live out our Christian path is done wherever we are.
Yeah.
And if that's relevance, then I guess, but I don't think that is. I think that's trying to be faithful to a way that has come before us, and we try to do it in our own time, in our own way.
Well, there are varieties of gifts that run all the way from close theological, historical work to on-the-street justice engagement, and on that whole spectrum is a call to be relevant. So it isn't as though the only manifestation of relevance is on the street if this close work is done faithfully and well. It also has an acute relevance for the church. So that it's the question of relevance is more complex than maybe we understood in the 60s or many other times. Yeah.
So is it a both and, that we are holding together, you know,
Sure
this history and the contemporary setting in which we find ourselves?
The World Council of Churches historically was organized into what they called faith and order, that had to do with theology and ethics and polity, and life and work that had to do with social action and justice. And at its best, the World Council kept those in interaction with each other, and there's always a temptation to fall out on one side or the other, I think. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess the question is relevance simply, you know, making the church make sense to people around us, or is it that combination of those two things?
There is a story told at Yale Divinity School in the 60s that some seminarian was all agitated about the next protest, and he asked Richard Niebuhr what he ought to do, and Niebuhr said, read a book. So